Oh,
Ugh.
at least I know that everything works for regular old podcasts.
Yeah.
That's not. You have a notification on Blue Sky? What the fuck? Oh yeah, true. I'll just there's somebody on the Blue Sky thing when I put that thing out. For last week's episode.
Mm-hmm.
The Vampire Society resembling mob structure, sure, but a one true
Mm.
way argument like that video always makes me want to do something else.
Yeah.
That comes from Craig Oxbrow on Blue Sky.
Oh,
You're right.
that's a pretty sweet
I
name.
do like that name.
Oxbrow? That's
Yeah,
cool.
that's sick. Um,
Sounds like a village chief on like the plains or something.
oh yeah. I just I look over at the Blue Sky and there's a notification and I go, huh?
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah,
Somebody
people
actually
watch us there.
saw a
Crazy.
thing.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Oh, that's the thing that I did.
And they got through our like rambling and shit. That's pretty rare for new people.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and that's the second video that we covered. That's
Yeah.
interesting. We did get a comment about the first thing as well. So from a new person, which is neat.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
it's always surprising to me when we see people that I don't recognize in the comments and such.
Yeah.
I like it, but it's also like, how did you get here?
What are you doing?
How did that happen? Like,
The fuck?
you're magical or something.
You okay, bro?
Yeah, are you all right?
Are we getting Aiden tonight or no?
I don't know. He didn't respond.
Because
Or
he never
anything.
actually replied earlier.
Yeah, we'll see. He might pop in later. If not, then he's probably asleep. I don't know.
Yeah.
Either way. I think everything is set. I think I've done all the correct things. Yes. And we should be good. Should be live. Should be ready to go. Oh. Let's see. Yes. All right. I will say I am glad to finish Yakuza.
Yes.
As good as a game as it is, you know, I was kind of worried that it would take longer than it did. Just a little bit.
It definitely would have if you went for all the additional shit.
Yes, yeah. Which is what I usually do anyway in those games, but for those kinds of games, because I usually do literally everything possible before I even do the story. But you know, hello Timothy, welcome. Yeah, you are first. Hello. But I'm excited to play Vampire. In both senses of the word, actually. But
yeah.
It's been a little minute since I've played Bloodlines, and I know
I have to ask.
Yeah.
Do you know what? God damn it.
Huh.
Do you know what clan you're gonna go for?
I don't at the moment. I know like all of the quests basically. I've played that game a couple of times, so I can find pretty much everything. But it depends, right? Because as a Nosferatu, because you can be a Nosferatu, you're extremely limited.
Yeah.
Because you can't be seen.
Yep.
So it does that. The rest of them, I mean, you know, the only real thing of note, I guess, is Malkavians, right? Because if you're a Malkavian, you get special dialogue.
Yes.
Because crazy. But everything else just plays the same otherwise. You know?
And apparently it's foreshadowing too. It's foreshadowing and crazy.
Yes. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, which is super cool.
Yeah,
I learned that in Seth Zintax video.
Yeah. It's actually because it's based off the power in actual Vampire. That is, one of them is I forget what the actual name of the tree is, quote unquote. But it's literally like if you take the power, the storyteller can just give you visions on occasion.
Oh my god.
Because you have the ability to, and you can utilize it actively as well, But it's one of those things that if you just like go into a certain area, if the storyteller is like, "Oh, you have that power? Neat. You get to see something." You know, it's super neat. I actually really really enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just a Malkavian thing for that power specifically, but the Malkavians have the additional. Oh, you went fucking insane
Mm-hmm.
in some
I
way.
know that when I played through, actually the longest playthrough that I did of Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines,
Yeah,
I was playing as a Nosferatu,
yeah,
and I went for a really long time not having any issues with breaking the Masquerade.
yeah. Oh yeah.
And I remember this one part where I had to leave like a club or
Mm.
something. I had to leave a building, and I unfortunately got an autosave when I exited,
Mm.
and there was a person like right the fuck there.
Mm.
So I was like, I don't like how I am breaking the Masquerade, and then when I load, I can't unbreak it. So I had to fucking figure out how to not break the Masquerade in that moment, and I
Yeah,
did actually figure out
yeah,
how
yeah.
to do it. So, yeah. And they're super fun to play because I love using Obfuscate like everywhere.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, it's super great.
Obfuscate is so fun.
It's one of the best powers, honestly.
Yeah, because just, invisibility. Awesome.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, Alejo got an upgrade. Cool. I did. I went and got me a new profile picture. Um,
Hmm.
I like it. I like it a lot. Um, if you've received subpar copper from Aya Nasir, you may be entitled to compensation. Thank you, Shin. Hello.
Hmm.
Well, give me just a second because I need to use the bathroom really quick, and then we will begin.
Okay.
Actually, hey, won't take me but a few minutes. Hang
All right.
on. I'm back.
Welcome back.
Thank you. All right.
I may or may not last through to the second video, depending on how long this one
That's
takes, because
totally fine. Yeah,
I'm a bit sleepy after eating.
I get you. I get you
Yeah.
entirely. No worries.
Sorry.
No, it's totally fine. I got you. Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to Table Talk, Discussion and Discourse. I, as always, am your host, Alejo, aka Grant95.
And I'm your second host. Oh, well, Aiden's not here to complain about me saying that I'm the second one. And I'm playing a Cthulhu-themed idle game, which has
Nice.
been super fun.
Yeah.
It's
Interestingly
one of the
enough.
very, very rare idle games I've actually chosen to spend money on.
Oh, you went that far.
Yeah,
Nice. There
I
you go.
did. It's really nice because like even before you spend money, there's no ads.
Oh, nice. That's rare.
It's actually like it's really nice, honestly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah.
rare as fuck. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I have I was telling about that tablet that I had that with the pen that I can write like notes, like actually write in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I've decided now is just using it for doing some games on it, just because mobile games are a thing. And
Yeah.
there's a couple of idle games that I play on it now. And they're unfortunately they're all chock full of ads, but
Well,
um,
well, I mean, if you're interested in it, it's called Masters of Madness.
okay, I'll look into it for sure.
Yeah.
But a couple that I actually started doing was Idle Breaker, which is just
Okay.
it's just literally like this is some girl in the zombie apocalypse who's just walking around and has to get a bunch of stuff and repair
Cool.
things and survive and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not too like in depth or anything. It's just there. I was just like, yeah, I like seeing number go up. Let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Plus you like walk the character around and you get actual gear and stuff, which is all right.
That's
Um,
neat.
yeah, that and what was the other one? Uh, it's not a idle game, but it's Life Bubble,
Okay.
which is just like you're a little astronaut guy on a planet, and there's a certain amount of place that if you walk around, it has like a generator for like a bubble, and outside of that bubble
Ah.
is like it's dead. And so you got to
Oh,
kind of
okay.
fix the generators to make the area more, and then fix more generators and get more
That
resources
sounds a
that way.
lot like Astroneer.
Yeah, a little bit actually. Yeah. And yeah, you can't walk out of the bubble too far, or you will start dying, and so there's
Mm-hmm.
just I don't know. It's another number go up game,
Yeah. Number go up is fun.
Yeah, it makes the brain go brr sometimes.
Yeah. It's the dopamine.
That's right. Anyway, so today we are going to be talking about a couple of things about D&D. The first one
Mm-hmm.
being running D&D with no plot, emergent
Mm-hmm.
storytelling by
The one
Earthmote.
that I am afraid to try.
It's yeah, it's one of those things that is a little difficult to do.
Mm-hmm.
Just in general, just because when you don't have something that's written down, you just kind of have to fly by the seat of your pants a lot of the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just one of those things where if you don't if you're not as confident, I suppose,
Mm-hmm.
in your ability to just come up with things at random, quote
Mm.
unquote, within reason, I suppose is the better way to say it. Um,
Yeah.
then it can be a little daunting.
Mm-hmm.
But um, yeah, I mean, as somebody who really likes sandboxy kind of things, even with the upcoming vampire game going to be more sandboxy, it will have an overarching thing if you guys engage with it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also one of those things where it can just still be happening, and then you just will have to deal with consequences of what happens because of it. You know, if you
Mm-hmm.
involve yourself, it could go different ways. But if you don't involve yourself, there's definitely, it will run its course, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but which is just the way that I like doing stories in general, right? Because it
Mm-hmm.
feels more natural.
Yeah.
Not that, of course, not that anything's wrong with linear stuff, but it's just my style. Um,
Yeah.
so I'm interested to see how good old Earthmote here uh is going to tell us about running D&D with no plot whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know. We shall see. It's 21 minutes, so we shall see what we got here.
Yeah, it's quite a lot.
Mm-hmm. Unless somebody says there's a plot, most games don't have one, right? No, not necessarily. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It really just depends. Because if take what we were talking about before with the modules and running adventures and such, right? The length of adventures when we were talking about that. Um,
Mm.
if you do the thing of like module to module to module with downtime in between, each of those self-contained plots are there. They're all,
Mm-hmm.
beginning, middle, and end. But there is still a plot. The overarching plot might not exist, but there are still mini plots going on. And really, the overarching plot is just the life of your characters, really.
Yeah.
You know?
And you can kind of come up with an overarching, like a slightly more definitive overarching plot
Mm-hmm.
just based on character actions. So, for
Yes.
example, if your characters go to a town and your rogue is like, I want to see if there's like a thieves guild around here so I can fence any stolen goods that I've got.
Mm.
And then they go to the thieves guild and it turns out that someone in the thieves guild wants something stolen from the castle or something
Mm.
stolen from a important place. Characters do it, they bring it back to the fence, and then after that, the lord of that village is like, "Hey, this shit got stolen. We know who did it. because we were able to buy it back off the black market and we have it back. And they said they got it from this. We found him, got it from them. So we don't like them. So we're going to hunt them down and stuff. And now you have the villain, kind of an antagonist in that town's lord.
Yeah, exactly.
And it just came out of their actions. And you're like, okay, this kind of makes sense that this might happen.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's just, I guess, with no plot, we're just talking about established, written down plot. You know, I assume, again, we haven't even started, but that's what I at least mean when I'm talking about no plot. So I guess we shall see. Here we go.
When I look at the stress that game masters face, it often has to do with campaign design and preparation.
Sure.
Modern tabletop role-playing games like 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons have really pushed the idea of the adventure path or the
I
overarching...
really like those book covers, the ones that look more stylistic.
Those ones are the special editions, I think, or something.
Those ones genuinely look a hell of a lot better to me than the standard covers. I like the style a lot more.
There's a lot that I would prefer over them, yeah. Like, what I mean is prefer over the original art, and some of the original art I like just a lot more. It really just depends, because I'm very much more of a simplistic art style kind of person as well. If my profile pictures have ever given you any hint of that, I also it really just depends, you know, day to day, which one I would really want more.
I am definitely of the opinion that style outweighs fidelity every day.
That's fair. That is absolutely fair. I'm that way with games a lot of the time too. So
yeah, it's like how The Last of Us will always look like The Last of Us, and it will eventually age because, you know, they're going for the modern, like, super realistic graphics and shit. Yeah. But The Wind Waker never will, because it's a style.
Yeah, the same thing could be said about, like, old Disney cartoons and animated stuff. Like, all that stuff will maintain that style forever, and it'll never look bad.
It is timeless, actually timeless.
Yeah, so I'm with you on that, for sure.
Story narrative for your players to follow. And I have two problems with this idea. First, it makes game preparation for a GM often feel like an exercise in creative writing. I've found that it gets me into this mindset of thinking, what is my sequence of events that needs to happen in the next game session to push the overall narrative forward that I'm trying to tell? And that just seems wrong. Secondly, storytelling and creative writing.
So I would hope, and I assume, I'm going to be as good faith as possible, but I assume what you mean by that is instead of creating an adventure for them to go through, you're like writing a story instead, you know, like you're writing a book, basically.
Kinda, I guess.
I would assume, like, again, best faith of what I feel like that's what that's supposed to mean. But I don't know, because I don't necessarily agree with it being a bad thing that it helps you figure that out, because again, maybe again our viewpoint on it is different, because we usually look at this stuff as guidelines a lot of the time, right?
Yeah,
the overarching story is going to be there, and there are beats that you're probably going to hit, but you are also willing to change how things go to fit that what your players are doing, right?
And for me, it has never really been about how do I get the story to, how do I get events to happen that need to happen? It's this is going to happen. How will the players make it happen?
Yes, yeah, exactly. It's way better, a way better viewpoint for it. But
so that's never really been stressful for me, even when I'm even in the because what I'm writing right now, I'm sticking true to that, where stuff is going to happen.
Yeah.
And it's really all about how you guys go about making it happen.
Yeah.
And so even in the stuff that I'm like writing that's a lot more rigid, I guess you might say, even though it's not.
Right.
It's a lot more defined than Devils and Dice was. Even in that, it's not an issue. Not for me anyway.
Right. And I guess to bolster his side of it, the way that modules are written now, they are quite rigid, like to the point of this will happen here to this to this. Your players will go from here to here. and that will create this event happening.
I don't like it.
Yeah, it's so like I can understand how that can influence people to think that's how you're supposed to do it, right? But it's one of those things where I would assume that at least a lot of people, and I guess it's more experienced people, will look at it and go, but that's not how it usually goes, right? You can't just put them in the box and say you have to follow the line.
Yeah.
Because everybody knows that every character is going to have their own will to do whatever the fuck they want to. And it will follow in line potentially with what you want, but it won't be exact. And now it's been a hot minute since I've looked at a different adventure that isn't Curse of Strahd. So take what I'm saying with a grain of salt, because I'm not familiar with the writing style of every single adventure that Wizards of the Coast have published recently. So I'm hoping that I'm wrong in the sense that they have like, oh, you could come at this from this way or this way, you know?
I sure hope so.
I would imagine there has to be at least some of that. And then maybe there's even like consequences of, or like it writes in consequences of, if you do it this way, potentially this could happen or something else.
And then if this happens, keepers, DM should skip to this section for details on that scenario.
Right. Because that would be really good as a way to really prep people in the sense that, so this is the general idea, but shit could happen that goes sideways.
That's how I'm doing mine.
Right. And I feel like that's how everyone should do their thing. But I don't know. It depends, I guess.
Writing can be hard, really hard. It's one of the things I've struggled a lot with when I game mastered 5th edition. I'm not a writer. I'm not J.R. Tolkien or George R. Martin or a Joe Abercrombie.
Thank God.
Yet I'm somehow supposed to come up with great story beats week after week. It just kind of felt
Stop reading your teleprompter.
And I've seen other...
No, that's fine. But good. I'm glad you're not thinking that way. Like, I'm glad you're not like, I am not one of these people. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. You're right.
Yeah, very good.
Other GMs express the same sentiment online, and unfortunately it can be the cause for GMs to burn out and just not feel motivated to run games anymore. Most of us don't have a great grasp on how an overarching story should go. If we did, we'd all be successful fiction writers. Hell, I'd argue that most authors of those published campaign modules don't know how to write a good overarching story.
I wouldn't posit that. That's a little silly to posit, but...
Yeah, I definitely would not say that.
I understand what you're trying to say, but that's... Those are not the words that you would want that for that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Good to know.
But yeah, so I would just say that no, I don't know.
I wouldn't say that at all.
No, I wouldn't say that in the slightest. So
they did, you wouldn't see whole Reddit sub-communities pop up or blog posts telling you how to remix those adventures to make them work in the first place.
Well, that's not an example of the overarching story being like well designed, I guess. That's literally just, I mean, so I guess it is more of it's a design thing of if the story runs well enough as written. But I
guess so.
I would assume
that's something that I could agree with. Like sometimes you have modules, even successful ones, that kind of need a good deal of reworking to fit the average table.
Yes. Yeah, I think honestly I would just cite that those communities do it just to create more ease of access, I guess. A lot of the time, because I mean, if I were to run Strahd cover to cover as is written, even that one tells me that I can go in different directions if I want to.
Yeah, this, to me, those kinds of communities and that kind of, shall we say, discussion and discourse, that usually to me always comes off as, hey, I ran this, we ran into this issue, maybe you did too, so this is what we did.
Yeah, exactly.
It's more like that. It's more of a sharing of of a solution to a potential problem.
Exactly. And some people just might not even encounter them at all.
Yeah, exactly. That's one thing that I'm kind of nervous about with my campaign, because right now, I don't know how to find playtesters that I can trust.
Right. Yeah, I get you.
Because I really am very afraid to give my campaign out to anybody in its even in an incomplete form.
Yeah.
Because the ability for someone to just take it and steal it is very possible.
Yeah, I understand.
So,
yeah,
I would have to probably find like a group that's like on that I would like pay or actually have them sign an NDA.
Yeah,
to be like, hey, you can't do that shit. You can play it and you can tell me what happened, but
yeah.
So,
in terms of my writing, I come up with the middle bits first without how it got there and where it ends. Yeah, that's fair.
Okay, that's an interesting way to do it.
Yeah. It's usually either an overall or maybe I start with an end point or I start with a beginning. It really just depends. Yeah. But I've never done from the middle.
Yeah, I've never done from the middle. I usually, when I'm doing it, I start with the villain, actually.
That makes sense.
Yeah, because, for example, when I did Devils and Dice, and honestly, speaking of Devils and Dice, we need to maybe one day do like a Q&A on that.
Yeah,
just
for
funsies.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or a Q&A, AMA, whatever.
Yeah.
The way I did it was, okay, they're going to be playing as Devils in Hell. What the fuck are they going to fight?
Yeah.
I don't want them to fight angels because it doesn't really make any sense in terms of D&D.
Yeah.
Angels don't really fuck with devils most of the time because they know the score.
Exactly.
And demons is way too easy.
Yeah.
And it'd be kind of boring as well because demons are destruction for destruction's sake, and so a lot of them don't have much personality to them.
Unless you go for demon lords themselves.
Yeah, and I didn't want to jump straight into that.
Yeah.
Hell, first act, one died.
Yeah, exactly.
Spoilers. So I'm like, you know what? How about monsters? And like actual just regular monsters.
Yeah.
Not Eldritch shit from like the Far Realm or Order or anything like that. Just regular ass monsters. And then how did monsters get there?
Right.
Why are they trying to take over Hell? Well, who would try,
Yeah,
and that's how I got there.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's my method, at least.
Yeah, for my current thing, I started with, like, my brain went, ooh, what's this? And then I started writing down this whole scene that I wanted to, like, if it's potentially not even something that will ever come up. Like, in the sense of, like, they will never see that scene, potentially. But I know that scene happened, and it's part of, like, what and drive things to what's going on. And so you would see,
it's
like,
a Nishikiyama flashback then.
A little bit. But it's one of those things where you'll see, like, the end bits of that scene, potentially, right? Or hear about end bits of that scene, or things that led up to that. But you won't necessarily see the entire scene. And then from there, I went, ooh, why is that happening? Ooh, who is that? Ooh, who is that? And so I started building from there.
I see.
Yeah, so I have a bunch of that in my brain and on some paper, so that's nice. Anyway.
Wait, is that physical paper or are you typing it?
Physical paper. I had a notebook beside me. And then when I was writing down people, before that I was writing down on a document.
Okay, that's good. I was about to say, I pity you.
No, I really like writing things like on physical paper.
Oh, okay.
That's the thing.
That's good.
Yeah. But yeah.
I don't. I have bad handwriting.
Me too, but I can read my own handwriting, so that's fine. I suppose I usually have an event in mind that I want to get to, so everything else is meant to either get there or follow after it. Yeah, there you go. That's why my tournament is taking a while. It's like my brain is making highlight reels of the fights without an anchor to it. Yeah, okay. I gotcha.
Well, I mean, hey, in a tournament, the fights are what you're there for, so
it's true.
Starting with that is not a bad idea.
Yeah.
I think the mindset of the GM prepping the storyline is a dangerous line of thinking for the health of your game. A tabletop role-playing game is a lot different than a book or a movie or a video game. Those have predetermined plots and plans for the characters to follow. The gaming table does not. The story happens at the table. The players make choices, and then you, as the game master, adjudicate the consequences. And that's the magic of role-playing games. You don't know what's going to happen until the things unfold at the table. If I decide that they will do X, then Y, followed by Z, well, I've developed these internal biases in my mind, and I'll try to force my players down this predetermined path so they can see my story. If they're doing those things predetermined by the GM, then they've lost their agency at the table. And I think they've lost a lot of fun at the table once they realize they don't have any true choices that move the narrative forward. Don't fall into this trap. So you may be wondering, well, if storylines aren't the way to go, is there a better way? And I believe the answer is yes. And at least it's something that's worked well for me in my games as I've shifted towards it. I talk a lot about sandbox style games on my channel because honestly, they've changed how I GM significantly. But a sandbox is just a tool or a style of play. What's more important is the idea of emergent storytelling. Hi, welcome back aboard the Earthmo. I'm Randall, and today we're going to be talking about
Jesus Christ, that's a hell of an intro.
Hey, I'm fine with it, you know? Like you got me a bunch of things at least that I am following, so hey. Good on you.
Yeah.
Telling and the tools you need to get started with that style of play. So you might be wondering, well, what is emergent storytelling? It's essentially giving your players as much agency as possible. Let them make choices within the game world and have the world react to their decisions. We use different tools and ideas to help facilitate natural challenges and situations that occur as your players explore the world. And from those organic elements and explorations, you start to see this story emerge from the play at the table. And all of a sudden, you have different factions at play and villains identified, and your players form goals on what they want to accomplish within the world.
Prep situations, not plots. There we go. That's a good. That's
a good next bit. The with the first just generalization of emergent storytelling, one of the ways that I at least plan for when we do our session 0 is we're gonna talk a bit, because probably gonna not have you guys just be like, oh, you just met, you know? Like, because
we will have met each other.
That's you guys will have some history.
It slows things down.
Exactly. You guys will have some history. We'll go over some stuff, and I'm gonna ask you guys a bunch of questions about how and why and all of this stuff. I have a whole bunch of stuff ready. Plus, the best thing, as I've said, Vampire has a lot of stuff built into the system that helps with kind of figuring that out, which is nice. Especially with like merits and flaws, and with the player's guide that I hadn't read until I bought it, basically. With it having the additional stuff of, oh, you can have a few things here because of your group. You get a few merit points that kind of go towards your coterie instead of just each other, like individually. It's like for your group shit. And it's like, oh, okay, so we can kind of figure that out too. It's kind of like what we did for City of Mist, in a way. For those of you who don't know, we're going to be doing an off-camera game of City of Mist. And the character creation and all that kind of stuff for it, we did for like 3 hours or 4 hours or something. Super fun, honestly.
Yes.
Had a great time with it. And there's a lot of cool stuff, because the game itself has you answer questions about your character, and that kind of gets you the powers that you have, and a lot of resources that you have for your group, and it also assumes that you all have been acting together for a while, which is useful. It's very nice. But like all of these kinds of things together will allow me to, when we do Vampire, to have these situations and such as we're about to get into, situations and stuff that are out there for you to deal with / you have made for yourself because of what you tell me in character creation, right? Because your character might already have a pre-existing like, oh, I want to do that, and that will affect somebody somehow, some way, but you'll give me something, right, for me to go, oh, so this person exists now, you know, that facilitates that, and because they exist, oh, then this person might not like that, or this person really likes that, and it just becomes this giant domino effect of potential, right? Which is great.
And that's something that I'm going to be doing in my campaign as well, where it's going to be a bit different because it's Call of Cthulhu, and I expect, and I think you should also expect, that maybe your first 2 or 3 characters will probably die.
Oh, I always expect to die. Absolutely.
Yes, exactly. Because, you know, it's not because I'm going out in my way to kill you. It's because Call of Cthulhu is fucking lethal.
Yeah.
And also sanity is a thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't really... One of the things I did when we played Call of Cthulhu years ago, the one that I've referenced as being really bad, because it was, one of the things that I asked for was specifically come up with a character who would probably follow in this character's footsteps.
Yes. Yeah.
So, like, if you're, like, let's say you're a cop, maybe there's a guy who is, like, a bouncer at a bar, and he's like, you know, the owner of the bar is like, hey, I need you to go and find this guy. I heard he went here. Right. I need you to collect his tab. Yeah, because he owed a fucking huge tab. For sure. Know, just something that would get you this next character in.
Yeah.
What I'm going to have you guys do instead is, instead of doing that, it's going to be like, you know, you come up with a contact. And I believe this is part of the normal character creation. Sure. But the way it's going to work is you'll come up with a contact, and who are they? What do they do? Do you know anybody that is, you know, are they just like a regular person who may follow you, or are they someone you could, someone that you or the group could call upon for assistance? And if so, are they in any sort of organization? Or like, are they a criminal? Are they a police person? Are they a government? Are they like a civic servant? Something like that. Yeah. Where once I have that character, I'm like, okay, that broad definition of this character now fits and could replace somebody I've already written.
Yeah.
And I can just shove him right in.
Yeah, for sure.
And I probably won't have you give any personality on him unless it's like a big deal.
Right.
Their personality, like that's something that's a big part of who they are.
Right.
So that way they can become even more seamless. Or it could be something like, I know this guy, he was really nice, but I haven't seen him in 10 years after I went in prison for murdering my you know, my family patriarch.
Right. Exactly.
So he may have changed in that time.
Yes, exactly.
That's how I intend to have you guys have, like, contacts and character backstories. That's how I'm going to do my best to try to implement them.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it's kind of hard to do a long-form character story in Call of Cthulhu.
Yes.
Because you'll probably die.
Oh, yeah. That's the thing. I always expect to die. Alejo 2024. Yes.
Yes.
Well,
that's me too, now.
Well, so so that's always been, and I've talked about this before. In every TTRPG in general, I am like 100% okay with my character dying, like for whatever reason, if it's just an unfortunate thing or if it's an intentional sacrifice, whatever. I never have a problem with them dying. That's the thing. I never feel any sort of like a missed opportunity or anything, because it's like, well, that's just what happened. You know, it's one of those things. It's water off a duck's back at that point. Next guy. Yeah. Let's go. Right?
Yeah. For me, if I put in a lot of effort into the character backstory and it never goes anywhere, I do feel a little bit disappointed, but I'm usually able to bounce back once I make the next character. Exactly. Because I tend to put a fair amount of effort into my character backstories.
Yeah.
Regardless of the story. You've seen that whenever I make my my characters.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I pitch them to you.
Like the one that you made after Jesse died.
Jesse?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I already know so much about that guy that I'm like, oh, yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah. So, like, I probably put in too much effort.
No, it's good. That's the thing. I like putting in that much effort because, yeah, I still feel attached to them and everything, and I'll feel bad that they died, but it's not one of those things that it's like, I really, 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 really want this character to live forever, you know?
Yeah,
I
no,
never
it's not
expect
that.
that.
I basically just want the story to have a satisfying
Oh, for sure.
end, and
I think
dying
death.
to a dice roll and falling off a 20-story building, it kind of sucks when that happens, but oh well.
I think death is always satisfying to me. I don't know. I'm just morbid that way, I guess. You know.
That's fair. Yeah,
Doesn't-
for me sometimes it's not.
I get you.
It depends on the death.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
would
for
say.
sure. I get you. Anyway, what was I going on about? There was something that I was gonna say. Oh,
it was about the emergent. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So one of the things I do have another idea, because as I was writing ideas for Vampire, I also was writing ideas for Delta Green, because of course my brain would not stop at the time.
Yes. No. Yep.
And I have a whole scenario already in my brain from like
Nice.
a paragraph that I've written down.
Nice.
Which is nice. And if we do Delta Green again, after the thing that if we ever get to do that again, but I have a whole nother thing of potentially not even having you guys be like an agent or anything, just being normal people in a town.
Okay.
Because, and then you have shared history, like you've lived in the town for so many years and all that kind of stuff, but like something's happening in the town, you know?
Yeah.
And thus you get brought into the world instead of having that idea of like having something happen and then you get brought into, or you are then becoming an
You're
agent.
already a part of it.
Yeah.
You're going to find something else that happens.
Which, if you survive, you would still probably get a call, you know?
Mhm.
But if you survive.
Yeah. I won't.
But yeah, it's one of those things. So I just that one is so much an idea of like this is a situation that is happening. You will notice that something is happening, whether or not you engage to a degree of it being a bad thing for you. That's up to you, you know. Anyway. If I was playing as Leroy, I wouldn't mind him dying, but he would, so I would need to act like that. Well, yeah, of course. As a character, you do self-preservation as much as possible, right? There's no reason not to. But it's one of those, you detach yourself from your character easily, you know? Compartmentalize.
Yes.
Anyway.
We talked a lot about how modern overarching storyline campaigns have this idea of plot baked into them. There are different events and things that happen to the PCs, and they need to do certain things in order to collect their different plot coupons as they move along the sequence of events that you have planned out.
I assume MacGuffin is just
yeah. That's an interesting way to say that.
Yeah.
I've heard of that.
For them. In emergent storytelling, we do not prep plots. We design situations. I credit the Alexandrian for his influential blog post for this idea, and you should definitely check it out if you haven't seen it already. Situations are like localized areas and action for your PCs to explore. Tiny snippets of the greater world that your players get to deal with or ignore at their own choosing. But if you string enough of these different interesting situations together, you start to get an emergent story from the decisions that your players and NPCs make within the game world. Essentially, you need to think about the differing adventuring areas and locations that your players are likely to explore. And then you need to make interesting situations happening at those locations for your players to interact with. Have different NPCs and monsters pursuing their own goals in the different situations. What do they want? Why do they want it? And what happens when the PCs show up and start mucking about in the same area? If you've been enjoying the video so far, you could really help out my situation by giving
5 minutes. 5 minutes in, that's fine. You know.
Yeah.
And we've already.
I feel like you should have given it just a touch longer after the the intro, but yeah.
But at least, I mean, so far I'm engaged, right? Like,
yes, exactly.
So that's fine.
And he's not saying rancid bullshit.
Yeah.
Unlike the last couple videos we did before.
Yeah.
In the video a like and consider subscribing to the channel. Let's take a look at the adventure Halls of the Blood King by Diego Nogueira for Old School Essentials.
That's
Halls of the
fucking cool
Yeah,
cover.
that
God
cover
damn.
looks really good for sure. Let
Mm-hmm.
me bring that. Oh,
Halls of
Let's
the
take a
Blood
look.
King.
yeah, I really
Like
like
the
that
big-
arch.
The road to the Hell
Yeah.
Castle through a big fucking gate that's a gaping maw.
Yeah, and the bat
That's
wings kind of
sick.
thing that's going on in the back there for the castle.
Yeah.
Looks really good.
That's really neat.
Sorry if this is weird, but a certain muse really wants to hang out in the chat here, and I'm going to be too distracted to pay attention until I at least ask if that's okay, even if I completely destroy my well-crafted image of normality in the process. I don't know what you mean, but sure.
Yeah, huh? Yeah, go for it.
The more the merrier, yeah.
Look at the adventure Halls of the Blood King by Diago Nogueira for Old School Essentials. Halls of the Blood King is an open-ended adventure site. There are some loose hooks to entice the players to explore it, but essentially they have to be motivated by their own ambitions and enticement of treasure. While it's a location-based adventure, the players are exploring the castle grounds of the Blood King, a ruler of all vampires. There's an established situation within the adventure, and the back tells us that. The premise pitch is on the back. With the rising of the blood moon, the accursed abode of the Blood King returns to this world.
It's Castlevania.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's either Castlevania or it's similar to fucking Ravenloft.
Yeah, I was gonna say Curse of Strahd as well.
Yeah,
because I know
basically if it's a vampire story, it's about fucking it's Curse of Strahd.
right, which is it's Dracula, which is you
Mm-hmm.
you can go back as far as you want, but
yeah,
no, it's it really does sound like it immediately makes me think of the 3.5 version of Expedition to Castle Ravenloft, which is it gives you like, oh, you can entice your players in like this if you want, of like, oh, they're at a place and somebody comes in and starts saying, I need help, go here,
yeah, go to this, we're in this place, I need help in this place, go there.
Exactly that. And like the other, in fact, I remember reading in the 5th edition one, for Curse of Strahd, one of the things is like, if you just want to have them go in here, you can just have them show up because the mist is weird and they just walk through the mist and then they're there. And I'm like, yeah, okay.
You basically just start in Barovia.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, yeah, sure.
That's certainly an easy way to do it.
Yeah.
That's honestly how I should have run my previous Call of Cthulhu campaign, but oh well.
Yeah, well,
It doesn't matter.
Everybody
was fine with the way that I wrote.
Yeah, there was
that
nothing
anyway.
There was nothing wrong with it.
Yeah. Were you there for that or no?
Yeah, with the going on the train to...
Yeah, you were Sylvester.
Yes, yeah.
I remember.
No,
you were Marcus.
Yeah, Marcus, that's right. Yeah.
Marcus the history man.
Yes, yeah, that's right.
I do still remember.
Yeah,
God damn
you
it.
threw a bullet into a fire, but missed.
Yeah, you
the
did.
fire.
You stopped me from summoning a Dark Young, you asshole.
I
wanted
did.
the Dark Young to be out there.
I did.
And that was my mistake because I had 20 cultists and they're like, well, fuck, we got to stop them. And I'm like, well, fuck, you're supposed to see 20 cultists and be like, we can't do that. Let's just see what they're doing. But
never underestimate the power of an idiot. There's 20 guys.
So
they're doing a weird thing. I don't like that. I'm going to stop that.
So here's a pro tip for people who want to do something like that. If you want to have something happen and you are trying to demonstrate it happening, don't let there be a point where the characters can stop it. Just they arrive and it's already happening.
So even if they're trying to stop it, that's the thing. You could just have some of them still do it while like 2 of them tried to stop me. Because I was one guy,
That is true.
It's one of those things where they just continue on and it might take a little longer, but it still would happen,
Yeah.
It's just
because it was basically just supposed to be this thing that's out there like killing shit.
Oh, sure.
And all the cultists were gonna die.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
I'm sure. That's the thing. I've saved many lives.
By killing them after the fact.
That's right.
But they're there, but they're still there now, and who knows? Maybe they'll just try the summoning again further away from town.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing, right? It's just an inevitability potentially, right?
Exactly. That's Call of Cthulhu in a nutshell. An inevitability.
Right. Hell yeah. The back looks like the river Styx. Yes.
Yes. Looks really cool.
Yeah.
The Lord of all vampires comes to claim the blood that is owed to him. His halls contain treasure and secrets that would make any ambitious adventurer abandon reason and caution to seek them out. Will you risk your soul for gold and glory in the halls of the Blood King? Now you might think, well, any overarching story module could have a similar setup. What makes this module so special? Well, when you look inside of the book or any of Necrotic Gnome's adventure modules, you won't find a part 1 or a chapter 1. It's just a brief description of the situation, some rumors, hooks, and unanswered mysteries.
Sure.
And then you've got the keyed adventure location, and that's it. You go and your players explore, and the different NPCs and factions interact with them, and the story emerges from that. There's no predetermined
cool artwork.
plan
Yeah, it looks
within
good.
it. Speaking,
yeah, I mean, it's a neat little module thing. It's got.
Yeah.
I like the overview being just generalized, you know? It's
Yeah, this is what it is.
Yeah.
I think I would like it if there was also the intended quote unquote story. So that way I can at least have something to look at that says, hey, this is what would probably be happening by now. It's just my own thing. I just like having that as a example.
Well, I would imagine that depending on how much they've given, you would already kind of assume some stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Like it really
I guess it just helps me to when I'm running it, it would just be like what am I trying to say here? I know what. Damn it! I don't know what I'm trying to say here. I know what I'm feeling. I know what I'm thinking. I don't know how to put it into words, so I'll just leave it.
No, I got you.
But I just like the idea of having this big open area, but also knowing what is, what the path is, so that way I can still wander around.
Sure.
You know what I mean? It's weird.
Yeah. So I think it's just one of those things of, You have there's the established, this is an example of the story, right? And then, but they, basically it's like, oh, one of the scenarios you could create from this set of things that we have here is this story, where the characters come, they can go through these things, and then they get to the end and there's this guy and he's doing whatever. But you also have all this stuff that it's also like, oh, but this is all here, so if you want to remix it, remaster it, do whatever you want with all these elements, you can create whatever you want, make it a bit more open and whatever, but this is just an example of a linear kind of story that you could tell.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes, that is what I would like.
I get you.
And you can still absolutely have it be, you could have it be where you still display all the information there in the beginning, where it's all in its very loose format, and then after all the information, then you get a little story.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
That's all I would like that just a touch more, but this is completely fine and a neat way to have a module.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's no right or wrong way, I would say. As long as it's not, well, I guess the wrong way would be this has to happen every time.
Yeah. There are two wrong ways to do it. This has to happen every time, and you don't have enough information.
Yes, yeah, if you're not explaining it enough. But at that point, for some, it depends on that point, because you could just fill in the information, depending on how necessary more from the actual author is, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So, because you can add in whatever the fuck you want to fill in whatever gaps you think there are.
Yeah.
And then, but for I will preface as well, this is the way that it has to go thing only means that, making it a true actual railroad,
Yeah.
that would be the only wrong way, because as with all these modules already, they've got, they have their linearity, but they're also they don't feel like they are just go this way only, they don't exactly feel like they're pigeonholing you into one specific, this is the way the puzzle works, or this is the path, because yes, it does go, oh, you can go from here to here, but anybody can go, oh, but I can go from here to up there to here.
Yeah. It's that operative word, can. You can go up this way.
Exactly. Yes. Me, Verity is who Shin is talking about, but I'll keep my full name out of this from now on so you don't get dinged for it. Maybe we'll make a separate YouTube account for me later. Sorry about this cringe. You're fine. Brains are weird. That's all I can say about this. Sure.
Yes. Apologies.
We all gotta deal with it.
Yeah. I think you have to be a special kind of weird to play so many of these games and also paint miniatures and also spend money on a idle game.
Factions, NPCs, and monsters, these are what add life to your locations and situations. Ultimately, our stories emerge from the characters within them. That includes both the player characters and the NPCs you control as the game master. Make your NPCs interesting in the world. They need to have differing ideas, goals, and motivations. Some of those your players will agree with, and some they will clash with. But ultimately, it's up to the party to decide who they like and who they want to work against. Your NPC and factions goals can be encapsulated within a single situation, or you can have them a larger piece of the puzzle that is your campaign setting. If they get disrupted at one juncture by the PCs, well, they might have different avenues to go about achieving their goals, so they can try a different one in the future, assuming they weren't outrightly destroyed by the PCs in their last encounter with them. Goals really let you have a framework for how your NPCs and factions will act within the world. I have a video that goes over factions in a sandbox a bit more. I'll link it up here and in the description if you want to check it out.
One of the most important things for any game, regardless of it being linear or sandboxy, flexibility. That's it.
Yes.
It's just the be all end all. Flexibility is what you want to have for your mindset, for your story aspects, for the situations, for your NPCs, for just everything. Because we've said it millions and millions of times, but you cannot account for literally everything. And that's what
truly cannot.
That's what these TTRPGs, that's what all of these have as potential to have literally anything happen. Within reason, obviously, but sometimes without reason. It really depends on the system, right? So as long as you are not dogmatic in following your narrative, you should be just fine. And I think again, it's one of those things that I don't see it as much as an issue anymore. Because I think we've gotten the word out of railroading bad enough.
Yes, finally.
Right? We see I haven't seen a new video on railroading in forever. Though that is a personal anecdote. There might even be people that are still making those kinds of videos because I'm sure people still click on them, right?
Yeah.
But it's one of those topics that seems to, at least to me, be dying out because we've learned how to do this in a way that is going to work for most everybody. And that is, I make the situation, you encounter the situation, you solve the situation however you decide to, and we continue on from there.
Yeah.
You know?
One of the things that comes up a lot in complaints about players who don't really understand how to play TTRPGs well is that they've been corrupted by video games and shit, and like RPG video games.
Right.
One of the best video games you could possibly play for if you want to kind of prep for a D&D or RPG would be Dishonored, in my opinion.
Okay.
Because Dishonored has so many paths to get to the same conclusion.
That's true.
And it's not so much that, the conclusion is all the same. It's the amount of choice that you have.
Yes.
Combined with your power. Like, you can even start to, like, factor in player powers and shit, because you have powers in Dishonored.
Yeah,
You've got the Blink, you've got Rat Swarm summoning, you've got mind control, you've got time stopping, and stuff like that. Oh, actually, I don't remember if you have time mind powers. Anyway, But
to a degree, I think, like, you can possess somebody, I think, once or twice.
oh, that's right. Yeah, you can. You know, you can interact with the environment. You can go through the environment. You can avoid the environment. You can do so many different things in Dishonored, and that accounts for both 1 and 2. You're trying to reach one location, but the amount of different ways you can go is so helpful in visualizing an environment and the amount of player choices that exist. And that can actually kind of help you prepare, at least marginally, because it will never be enough. Trust me, it will never be enough. Marginally prepare for what your players are capable of doing in any given situation, as long as you have presented them with a situation that has a lot of ways to get through it.
Yes. And obviously, sorry, go on.
Oh, no, you're good. I was just going to say, and it's a great way to also create those kinds of situations. It's the situation that I always present in ones based on choice is the castle, classic castle. You know, the players have to get into a castle. How do they do it? And you always fucking come up with the way that I never remember, the fucking moat, and drains and shit.
Yes.
But it exists, and it's a great solution. But there's a part in Dishonored 1 toward the beginning of the game where you need to get past this big fucking wall, and it's got like a lightning gate in the normal entrance. There's guards everywhere. You can go over the wall. You can go around the wall. You can go under the wall. You can go through the lightning gate if you turn it off. You can destroy the power source of the gate. You can do it stealthily by, you know, just removing it and then going through. It's great. So I can't recommend Dishonored 1 and 2 enough for that.
Yeah.
Anyway, now your turn.
Well,
Sorry.
the only thing that I was going to say is the other game that I would obviously recommend is Baldur's Gate. You know, Baldur's Gate 3 being the most accessible one at the moment.
Yeah.
And
since it's based on 5e, you can't really get a better example.
Exactly. It's another one that will let you do that basically to the same degree, because you have all of these spells and stuff that you can even account for.
I remember when we were playing as the Shadow Wizard Money Gang.
Yes.
And we got to those ruins early on.
Yeah.
And I dropped the fucking thing on somebody's head, killed them instantly, and shoved them down into the next area.
Yeah, that's right.
That was great.
It was a whole thing.
I was a real bastard in that playthrough.
It was good. It was good,
even though it only lasted like a couple hours.
Yeah. But yeah, it's another example of like something that you can visualize or give yourself a lot of experience with to then kind of prepare yourself a little bit to the ability to have a lot of situations that you can take advantage of, or see the different situations that can be taken advantage of to give you an idea.
Yes.
Going back to our case study, the Halls of the Blood King, we see that there are factions in our location-based module. There are some motivational spoilers here for the adventure, so if you want to play the module without this knowledge, just skip to the timestamp on the screen now.
I will say, if you have any want to look into this and play it yourself, like be a player in it, skip the rest of the video until we get to the next thing, I guess.
Oh, that is interesting. The spiders are a faction.
Oh,
I guess
neat.
they talk.
Oh yeah, cool.
And mushrooms?
Hell yeah, void fungi. There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, I'm down with it. Yeah, give me
same.
Weird mushroom people. Love it.
We get a brief description of who they are and what their goals are within the castle halls. We have the Blood King and his vampire aristocracy. The Blood King is concerned with collecting his blood tributes, and the aristocracy are concerned with conspiring against one another. We have the vampire rebels who are led by the Blood King's fake daughter. She despises the Blood King and is plotting a coup against him. We have a vampire hunter who's been trapped inside the castle since the last time it appeared in the world, and they've done some dark things to survive, and she still despises the vampires and wishes to destroy them. And then there are a couple more minor factions. There are the Blood Spiders, which are a group of pets of the Blood King that have grown a bit out of control. And lastly, there's a strange sentient extraplanar fungi that's growing in the dungeons that wishes to expand outside of the halls of the Blood King. The module
Don't do
even
it.
lists
Don't let him do it.
That's not a good thing. No, no,
Yeah,
no.
fuck you. Burn it.
Yeah.
out some of the relationships between the groups, so you have a good sense of how to play the factions off one another. All of it's great stuff, and it's really simple. It fits on a single page, but yet it offers so much that you can play multiple sessions with the module
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
have a great time.
All you got to do is just come up with names, and then you just start figuring out, based off of those very small snippets, what the personalities of each person is. Like, it's, and it can be literally like as simple as, oh, okay, so I have the Blood King here. He wants to do his blood tax thing. He's kind of a dick about it. Nobody really likes him. But the vampire royals, they follow him, one, because blood good, and he gets blood. Two, power. They know they're not as powerful as him, but they could be if they weren't bickering with each other so fucking much. But they don't seem to realize that because they want their own personal power. They don't want to share power in any way.
Yeah. It's the same reason why nobles, regular nobles, follow a king.
Exactly.
Because nobles do still own land. Back in that time, they did still have their own armies.
Yes.
And stuff.
Yeah, they have their levies that they raise for the king themselves if they go to war and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so it's kind of a give and take.
Yes.
With kings and nobles.
Exactly.
So you got to be careful. You got to keep both happy.
And then from there, you go, oh, this is Vlad. That's so generic, but this is Vlad. He's one of the court royals. He wants to find a way to get the most blood possible to give to the king so that he can look better than everybody else. And then you get another one. My brain immediately went to Maria. Okay.
Okay.
Maria is a lady in the court who finds that undermining and like finding out and undermining each of the plans of each of the other royals is something that she's very good at. She's able to sway members of their like the other nobles courts to her side, so that and with promise of power and glory and stuff, but she kills them afterwards, right?
Ooh,
she uses
bitch.
them. Yeah, she's like a Black Widow. She uses them for what she needs and then just fucking kills them so that nobody knows that that's what's going on, or at least
and it's also like, oh, you were willing to betray your person? Well, that means you're untrustworthy. Bye.
Exactly. So it's a double-edged sword, and it's one of those things, right? And so you start just then finding these people, and then another person can obviously make like 4 or 5 different other names, and they all have different things and stuff that you can use as characters and stuff. But that little bit gives you enough that you can just start running with it and start making all these people.
Yes.
So yeah, absolutely. Good shit. Vlad, I bet he's fun at parties. Oh yeah, he's the best. He loves drinking your blood.
Oh, yeah. God damn it.
If you're building a campaign with an emergent story, you'll start to find your legs after a bit.
Yeah.
Let the players explore some of the different areas and situations to get a sense of the different factions and monsters that live there. They'll start to interact with them and make decisions about what to do with them. Ultimately, your players' choices need to have consequences. Some of them will be good, some of them will be bad. Once your emerging story has developed,
that was a very funny fucking cutaway. Some of them will be good, crossing Moria. Some of them will be bad, Balrog.
Balrog, yes. Exactly.
That was very funny. I don't think that was even intended as a joke, but that really fucking got me.
If it was, I mean, it's good. I like it.
Yeah, that was good. If it was intended that.
A bit, and the players start to build a reputation for themselves. Now is a good time to start introducing those consequences and bringing them into action. Think back on the different factions they've crossed. If they weren't outright destroyed by the PCs, how can they come back to haunt the players? Or if they don't directly target the PCs, think about which factions have goals that conflict with the PC's established goals. Maybe your players are trying to recover a special magical weapon, but that weapon happened to be created by the shadow priests of a cult that the PCs have already crossed. Well, now you can place them in situations where that cult is also looking for the magical weapon, and they can come into conflict with one another. The conflict should start to feel natural because they're organic. They've come from the decisions made at the table, and that's a great thing.
Yeah. it's as easy as like what I just said. I've just created a bunch of conflict between vampire court lords and ladies already. That, and then once you put the PCs in there, well, what if Maria is like, oh, hey, you guys are here to like stop this stuff? Well, what if I get you to kill those guys? I'll help you. Hell, I'll help you kill the Blood King. It's cool. Don't worry about it. I actually don't like the Blood King at all. But if you could help me kill the other nobles as well, that'd be sick.
That'd be even better.
Yeah, I'll help you do that. And then then we'll all go for the Blood King together. Don't worry about it. It'll be cool.
Yeah.
You know? And then you got the other ones that are like, you
seems a little sussy, but she is hot.
Right,
so.
yeah. But then you have the potential of the party members, like some of them going, well, it's an ally against my enemy, you know, like what, like that's
enemy
good.
of my enemy,
exactly. And then others could be like, it's a vampire, dude. What are you? Are you mad? Right? So you can have that as a kind of inner conflict thing that becomes more relevant, because that fits into the character that I've created of like manipulative. Trying to get other people to do her bidding for her and gaining benefits from them, and then hopefully having them die. Right?
Yes, so that way she doesn't have to pay him back.
Exactly. That's something that you can utilize. And then just in general as well, for just in like from outside of that scenario, obviously, individual characters might want different things, and then you can have those things kind of tie together because they might make sense of like, this guy, he wants to, he wants to help the local priesthood. What they want to do is gather a bunch of money so that they can start building better housing and stuff for people of the town. And then another person wants to help the more let's say the more downtrodden of that town. And like you would think the priesthood would want to do that as well, but what they're actually doing is kind of doing a power play of they're building these homes for people that are more wealthy, more noble, and all that kind of stuff, so that they can get more power from them because they get more favor from them, right? And thus they kind of have these two characters, and doing that is kind of pushing more people out of this area to become more of the downtrodden, because they start having higher taxes and stuff because their places are better, right? And so they're not able to afford living there anymore, and so they're creating more and more of these this poverty-stricken people. And so one of the characters is seeing that, uncovers that, and then goes, "Hey, you really like those guys, right?" And then the other character goes, "Yeah, they're doing great things. They're helping people. It's crazy." And they go, no.
Look at this.
Look at this.
If you look at this. If you look at this document.
Right. And then the other player goes, no, that can't be, right? No, that can't be.
But it was signed by John Priest himself.
Oh my God. Right. And so then you have some stuff there, and then you have choices that come off of that of like, is that something that they're willing to believe? Do they need more evidence? Or are they going to help figure that out and expose it, you know? And the person who's like been part of the priesthood side, are they like more indoctrinated now? Do they not want that to come out? Because it's actually, maybe the benefits that they're gaining from the priesthood is actually like really good. And so if they lose that because the priesthood has to get disbanded because they've been found out, what are we going to do? You know?
Yeah.
Anyway, just bunches of things, many things that can just come out of nothing, which is great. And by nothing, I mean silly little things that you just go, what's your character like to do? What do they want to do? You know?
Your characters will pursue their own goals. They may choose to interact with different factions and ignore others. Well, if you want, you can let the factions that they aren't interested in drop by the wayside. That's a completely valid way to go about running your game. But you can also just have those factions quietly working in the background on their own goals.
Yes.
In the game Dungeon World, these faction goals are described as fronts. Fronts are a way to track different impending plans or dangers in the world around the PCs.
Sure.
Fronts are a way of cultivating some emerging story for the future. If their plans are uninterrupted by the PCs or other factions in the world, then they will start to make noticeable changes to the world around the PCs. At some point, your players are going to start to notice that things have changed. Maybe the shadow cult goes ignored by the PCs, and their goal is to capture the frontier village of Greenwall. Well, let's say they succeed because the players do nothing to stop them. Then you'll have an area on the map that is suddenly taken over by this cult. The PCs may notice refugees fleeing from that area or foul beasts starting to originate from that area of the map that the cult has
This clip
taken
isn't
over
playing
as
too
they start
long.
to...
I mean, without the
Without the sound, is it not an issue?
it's less of an issue.
Okay.
It's one of those things that you gotta be real careful with it. But I mean, this video's been up forever, so I assume it's been okay.
Yeah, that is true.
It might have some like limited ads or something to it because that's how it goes. But that doesn't affect us too much, so whatever.
That's good.
Perform different profane experiments. The world can happen around the players, and events can organically emerge from the world due to the players' choices or inactions against factions and NPCs. I would caution some care here. There are two areas where I can see going overboard with fronts. First, you can have too many of these fronts, and that can start to feel hopeless for your players. Even if they're taking on one front, they start to fall behind on others, and they can just sort of feel like they aren't making any real progress.
It's also something that can make you go a little more crazy, as the person who's running it, because I'm thinking about it for what I have planned, and I have like a couple pretty distinct things. But depending on more factors that might be added from character creation / what you guys do in the story, I might have even more things going on because it's Las Vegas. It's a big fucking place. There's potential there for a lot, depending on whatever you guys want to do. And so, but obviously not all of it's going to, be completely story changing necessarily. It really depends on what the story kind of becomes. Right? Because I'm kind of making it so that it's more what you guys are planning on doing / whatever, rather than it being, this is the thing that you gotta do, It's that background element that might be more important to you, might not be. / could very well end up becoming more important because of that, But, it's like, you have, I don't know, the gang warfare. You have cartels from somewhere else. You have an investigation from the FBI. You like have all of these other things together, and it's like, oh Jesus, they're all going all
this
at
is a lot to deal with right now.
Wow. Yeah, so I agree with the whole. Let some of them, if they're not too important, they can just fall by the wayside. That's totally fine. Because hell, it's you don't have to return the platinum chip. That's true.
You don't.
That's true. But hell, actually, that's a good example. Actually, with Fallout New Vegas, there's a shit ton of factions. You don't have to deal with any of them. You really just have to go and find they exist and then leave. And that's
it.
That's as much as you need to do. Whether or not, like, it's not the best example because they don't do anything if you don't interact with them at all. But there's an idea there of, if I interact with this faction, is it going to affect my characters and what they do? Like, what if they were to interact with them at all? Would that matter? Or if they didn't interact with them, would that even like be noticed? Are they just a background element? But it's a lot. A lot.
Yeah.
There's something called a rumor table we've heard of. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but it sounds like a random event generator. Oh, sure,
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's just like, oh, this is happening over here. Wow.
Yeah, like, you go to, a player's like, I want to ask around for if anything's going on.
Yeah.
You consult your table, roll it, and it's like, oh, this is what you hear.
Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty much all there is to it.
Yeah, for sure.
Simple and effective.
Simple as.
I think it's a good idea to have the factions compete with one another in the background, even if your players aren't dealing with a front. That way, one front doesn't overrun the players in a quick fashion if you're deciding to use them. Secondly, it's really easy for your fronts to become overarching story arcs. I would try to avoid having a big bad evil guy or a main villain in your game arise from events that your players have largely ignored in the game. That would just feel like you're forcing some sort of storyline or central villain on the players despite their choices so far.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I see what you're saying. Because for a second there, I was like, "Oh, you shouldn't do that." No. It's if it's something that they haven't interacted with at all, really, then you don't want to thrust them forward because then it feels like, "Oh, where did that come from?" You know?
Yeah, you can do that, but you would need to do it differently.
Yes.
Where, say, you have 10 major things going on in the big city where everything is happening.
Yeah.
The players decide to deal with thing B.
Yes.
And then you have A, C, D, E, all the other ones. And then you start rolling dice behind the scenes to see how those things pan out.
Yes.
And then, say, over time, it gets narrowed down to, I don't know, F.
Sure.
Thing F is the one that comes out on top. You wouldn't just drop that on them. You would have signs show up.
Yes.
It's like, hey, you heard about this, but now you're not really seeing those people around anymore.
Exactly. You got to foreshadow a bunch of shit, right? It's good to keep them updated on worldly events, I guess. Is
yes.
Like whether that be through your town criers, through the newspaper, or through phones, like it really, it's whatever it might be, a Facebook messenger thing of like, oh, your friend on Facebook is now sending this to everybody going, look at this shit. Wow.
It's fucking crazy.
That's insane. And that's how they know about one thing. And then, later on, the news, you turn on the news and somebody goes, and today this thing is now gone. And it's like, oh, that's weird. Okay.
Yeah, militants from fucking wherever just did this shit. Yeah. And that's not good. We don't like that.
We decided. Yep. Exactly. So, like, yeah. Keeping them informed of these fronts is better than, and not, like, super detailed informed necessarily unless they ask for it, but informed enough that they're aware allows you to have that potential to pull it out again if it should become more relevant. Though, again, that does lead to the crazy of, oh, I have 10 things going on at once.
Yeah. That's why you essentially, if your players are only dealing with one, you deal with just the one they're dealing with, and you deal with all the other ones through dice rolls outside of view.
Yes, exactly.
And just behind the scenes. You can do that after the session.
Yeah, and I'm a fan of the idea that he put forth of 1 to 3 fronts.
Yes.
1 to 3 of them, that's manageable. Absolutely. 3 at most. 4 if you're feeling spicy. 5 if you really hate yourself. But no, like, legitimately, it's just however many you feel like you're able to deal with, and obviously cut it down if it's too much, right? Like, it's your game. You can run it however you need to make it so that it's fun for you and fun for them.
Yeah. I'll be right back. I just need to use the restroom.
All right.
But don't wait on me, though.
I'll keep going. No worries.
Yeah.
That's why I like games where you are not the only one making moves and things can happen without a player's input. Yeah. Oh, that's what I like. I like doing things where things will just happen in the background, of course, because you're not going to be able to get everything. You're not going to be able to do everything, especially in a TTRPG, unless it is quite proper, like super linear, and the background element is kind of written in. Of like, oh, this will happen because they won't be able to get to it, But again, not a problem if that's the case. But I very much prefer the more organic way of like, oh, you went over here and took care of this thing. Well, over there was a thing that was happening, and it gets resolved. Whether or not that's good is up to, what happens because of it.
I also probably wouldn't run more than 1 or 2 fronts at any given time, maybe 3. And if I had that many, I'd make their progress take some real time in game before they start to see noticeable changes in the world.
Sure.
There are a few tools I have found invaluable for fostering emergent storytelling opportunities at the table. We've talked about fronts. You're going to need a way to manage those fronts and progress of those goals. Essentially, you have a stated goal for the faction and what they wish to achieve. Then you need to list out the 3 to 5 steps that they're going to take to achieve that goal or front. Make a list so that it describes it as if the players were not impeding with the progress of the front at all. Once your players get involved, you can revisit how your faction needs to adjust their goals to adapt to the PCs, or you can decide
Let me.
if the goal is lost for them and they need to pursue something new if they're not totally destroyed.
Yeah. I actually, so let me bring this back to that. I like this as something that you can actually quite easily keep track of, the just writing down simple things like the goal. This is very simple, like these are the steps, goal is set up what's the word? A shell company. Let's go with that. They want to set up a shell company. Okay. What are the steps? They need to purchase land. They need to purchase the land and the building in order to set up that front. They need to get enough manpower to make it so that it seems like this company actually does things, or they need to get resources in place that make it so that it looks like something's happening because of this purchase and everything. They need to set up is groundswell appropriate for this term? They need to establish basically that this company exists, whether through like social media, through advertising, through, I don't know, putting stuff in the paper, all that kind of stuff, right? And they need to, I guess that's really it. That's 3 things, kind of. And thus, we can make it so that the other thing they need to do is make sure that it's something that is not found out by the police. So they need to get police, either pay the police off or figure out a way to hide it from the police and the government. Let's go with that, police and government, because a company has to, make taxes and stuff and all that kind of shit. Or pay taxes, excuse me, not make taxes. But those are aspects that you need to worry about, and then as players, encounter and change the state of each of those goals. What do you need to change for them as to what they need to do? So let's say the getting a piece of land and building, the NPC, or sorry, the players, they burn it down. Like, it's just part of what they do. Oopsie, burnt down your building. Whoa, sorry. What do they have to do? Oh, they have to get a new building. Okay. Well, that's going to set them back for what they were doing. And it's going to raise a lot of questions of what was this building for? Who is affected because this building is lost? Oh, that company. Ooh, we have to make sure that people don't investigate too hard, like the insurance companies and the fire department and stuff. Like, do we cover this up? Is it just an electrical fire or something, not arson, because that puts a lot more eyes on it, then you start figuring out how the faction themselves has to deal with that. Yes, make taxes is our end goal. That's right. I learned a lot about shell companies watching mob documentaries. There you go. Yeah. So there's stuff that they have to do if something were to go wrong because of that, and thus you can then, as he was saying, revisit if the goal is lost or if the faction, as long as the faction isn't completely destroyed. It's something that is pretty easy to kind of write down simple steps and thus utilize details of what happens in sessions to then change those simple steps.
Adjust their goals to adapt to the PCs, or you can decide if the goal is lost for them and they need to pursue something new if they're not totally destroyed. Here's a quick example of a front. Let's say the Shadow Cult's goal is to open a gateway to the Netherrealm. Well, their first step could be capturing the village of Greenwall. Then once they have that village secure, they need to excavate the ancient gateway located underneath the village. Then once they have the gateway, they can perform a summoning ritual during the solar eclipse, activating the gateway to the Netherrealm. For resolution of a faction's goals, you can use a couple of different systems. I found a couple that I like. First is Mouse Ritter, which has a really simple faction system that you can check out totally free. It uses simple resource and dice resolution mechanics to modify a faction's goal progress.
It's funny that I know of a different mouse game that I can't remember what it is, but it's not this.
You can set each of those different steps in your front as a goal using the system, and once they've made enough progress, you can consider that step complete, moving on to the next step within the front. Alternatively, you can use Worlds Without Number, which has a very in-depth faction mini game if you want to add that level of detail to your game. You can do something known as the faction turn, like sort of like a dungeon turn, which lets you play out the different factions' plans and use their assets to determine if they succeed or not. World Without Number is also completely free, and you can check out a version of that. I'll include links to both of those in the description of the video so you can check them out.
Yeah, for that one, it seems like a little more in depth. And it could be as simple as, like Boo was saying, you just roll some dice and you make sure if one thing happens or one thing doesn't. Could be simple as. Depends, right? Depends on how much you want to put into it.
Random encounters are the bread and butter of emergent storytelling, so you're going to want to have random encounter tables and context tables. Craft your encounter tables to include the different factions and NPCs that you want your players to interact with in both dungeons and the wilderness context of your setting. I like to include an additional column in my random encounter tables that provide context for the encounter. So it's not just something, I have to make up on the fly. So maybe, for example, we have the Shadow Cult and they're transporting a hostage. And let's say in this case, the hostage happens to be one of the Baron's men. Okay, now you have this spontaneous situation that your players can react to, but there's a little bit of context to it. And their decisions can affect the world and the factions around them because you've tailored your encounter tables to do so. Maybe the players rescue the Baron's man, and they find out he was a scout who went to the village of Greenwall. And he learned when he was there that the Shadow Cult is unearthing some sort of eldritch gateway. Okay, now your players have a new adventure location to check out if they want, and you've sort of developed this emerging storytelling opportunity just from a random encounter.
Yeah, I mean, hey, room tables. There we go. We're about to do it. Just in general, creating encounters and stuff like that. Just having a bunch in your hat to pull out if need be. It's one of those things where, for me, for what I have, as like kind of the big thing that's going on, that can they can get involved with. The big thing itself, like I said, will continue to happen regardless of if they will, engage with it or not, depending on if they can engage with it to a degree to stop it slash maybe help it along. Maybe, I don't know. It depends on what they want to do with it, right? And every few days or so, something will happen because of that. And whether or not they get informed by it will be if they pay attention to things, you know. I'm gonna give them a lot of hints and clues of things are happening, things are going on, people are talking about things, because they're going to be prominent enough. But yeah, it's one of those things where I have set ideas of these things that will happen because it's kind of a progression of events that continue to well, I don't want to give too much away, obviously, but they will continue happening until something happens because of them. And when that happens, it's not like the story's over. It's just another element is at play, right? A new thing has been added in that makes it so that the situation has changed. And potentially it might even change the location itself / what they want to do, if they want to stay in the location or whatever. Like there's a lot of ideas there. I'm talking too much about it. I'm excited. I'm sorry. I'm excited.
Additionally, you're going to want to use rumor tables. Rumor tables let you see different possible areas of adventure and situations that your players can explore. When your players interact with different NPCs, feel free to share rumors with them. This helps sort of that organic story form by providing more information to the PCs. What they decide to do with that information is, of course, up to them. Rumors can be true, partially true, or totally false. If your rumor is totally false, you should have something else of interest there that takes its place.
That's true.
Maybe instead of the dungeon being a prison of the shadow demon, it's actually the crypt of a holy saint. The rumor was seeded by the saint's followers to keep the place safe from treasure robbers. It's also a good idea.
Wouldn't it do the opposite, because stealing from a bad person is like a better thing to do, technically? Would that not be... Well, no, I mean, it also would attract more crime, because stealing for power, wouldn't it? I don't know.
Idea to add hints of the faction's current goals in your rumor table. You can easily have NPCs mention they saw refugees on the road from the area around Greenwall where the Shadow Cult has taken over, or someone saw the sky turn pitch black during the middle of the day down there. These different elements add some flavor and context to the world around the players. Continue to update and refresh your encounter and rumor tables based on the different elements that have emerged from your story organically, and you really just sort of help keep the engine running and the story fueled for play at your table.
So that's the difficult part, right? Keeping things fresh, right? I guess difficult isn't necessarily the word. It's just taxing, right? You don't want to burn yourself out too much. You can maybe sprinkle, 2 or 3 rumor things here and there, and kind of keep 2 or 3 things ready to go because of that. But depending on the span of time things take, like, with Vampire, we'll see how it goes. I'll see how the game flows, but like having it so that every session is potentially a night to two for a night, to get a bunch of things done, or not a lot of things done. It depends, right? It's about keeping it feeling organic in time progression, I guess, if that makes sense. As long as things are moving forward at a rate that seems reasonable, because travel takes time, actions take time, obviously, conversation does take time depending on how in-depth and stuff it is, right? No, Boo did not go to bed. He went to the restroom. He's all right. Don't worry about it. So it's one of those things where time is one of those tricky things to keep in mind, because you don't want to use too much of it. You don't want it to feel like the days just, or the nights or whatever, just fly by. necessarily.
Okay, I'm back.
Welcome back. You don't want it to feel like the days and nights fly by too fast. You don't want them to fly by too slowly, and feel like, oh, we could get so much shit done in a day, or have them drag on and stuff. Because it's one of those, like, I'm thinking about it for vampires context, and it's like, I don't know. It's gonna depend on how it feels a lot of the time and what you guys decide to do, I guess, because I was thinking a session might be a single night, or 2 sessions might be a single night, depending on, how long things take between what you want to do and what you're doing and all that kind of stuff.
And if
right?
we decide, like, oh, we need to wait a day.
Exactly.
So and then we just decide, oh, we'll just fast forward.
Yeah, it depends, right? Because, like, there's plenty of reason why you could have, like, you can just wait a whole week and not have to worry about things. Like, that's a whole idea that I would allow if you guys were like, yeah, we're just gonna do our day to day, or sorry, our night to night for a week, right?
Yeah.
And then I'd be like, okay, yeah, and then I'd give you information like day after day of, like, this is what's happening, at least that you're aware of, potentially, if anything should come up. And if you want to stop, like, midweek, you could, slash have reason to, and we could set in scenes here and there if you want something important to happen or all that kind of stuff. But it's really just up to how much time you guys want to spend doing things. And I don't want it to feel like I'm rushing you through the night, because you only have so many hours, and things take time. So.
Yeah, I think it would probably feel around the same as a D&D game,
Yeah,
because
probably.
a lot of the time, unless your characters are specifically nocturnal, most of everything that takes place in a D&D session happens during the day.
Right, exactly.
So
that's true.
If our lives are pretty much focused on the night, I don't think it'll feel that much different than just a regular old session.
That is true. Anyway, just things.
Emergent story has become my favorite way of playing RPGs lately. I find that it takes a lot of pressure off of me for trying to come up with that sort of perfect storyline, and puts a lot more focus on creatively thinking about the consequences to what is unfolding at the game table due to the player's decisions. I really enjoy the randomized aspect of it too, from the encounter tables and the rumor tables and the different things that the players choose to do. I don't know what's going to happen at the table just as much as the players don't know. And it's really a fun and exciting feeling as the GM to have sort of that, rather than kind of knowing the predetermined path that the players are going to take. And you as a GM realize that all that has sort of sprung up not from your own story plotting process, but rather the tools and systems you put in place and the decisions and the dice rolls that are happening at the table to make it come to life. And it's just such a beautiful thing. I really enjoy it because you realize that RPG storytelling is not something pre-planned by the game master, but it's something that happens together as a group at the table. Ultimately, as long as you and your friends are having a good time playing whichever way you do, that's most important. Let me know in the comments below if you play in a similar emergent storytelling fashion, or if you prefer the more overarching story campaign sort of way.
Okay.
If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. Thanks for hopping aboard the Earth Moat, and I will see you in the next one.
All right.
Yeah, that's very nice.
Yeah, honestly, I think it's just a solid little video. Honestly.
Yeah.
Good shit. I would say there's some word choices that I would go, but other than that, I mean, nothing too bad about it.
Yeah, not
bad. You can use it one-to-one time if you can avoid ending sessions in a dungeon. That's true, you could. I've had the party get from level 1 to level 5 in a matter of weeks because of not injecting downtime. That's fair. Better plotting just goes straight from one module to the next in that campaign. Oh, there you go. But yeah, so it's one of those things where the overarching stuff never really feels like it's necessarily predetermined, at least to me. But then
Mhm.
again, I think that's just because of the experience that I've had. Just in general, from what I've learned and what I've done. So I
Mhm.
don't really see it that way anymore. But I can understand the idea.
Mm.
But I don't know. At the end
Yeah.
of the day, regardless of what you do, I feel like everything is just the same in the sense of you're all telling the story together, and whether or not it goes a certain way is just dependent on, you know, the characters, really.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Well, that's that. Nice little
Mhm.
video. I would give it a thumbs up. I would. Um so, let's move on to another little thing called Why I Stopped Using Spell Slots in My 5e Campaign by House DM.
Okay.
I get it. It's like House MD,
Today
but
we're
the
going to
DM
completely
instead of MD. Haha. I don't know if that was the intention.
Who knows?
But yes, so this is why I stopped using spell slots in my 5e campaign. Now, I have specific things for this because I have that magical exertion table.
Yes.
I like the limitation of spell slots because then I can add in a mechanic to say, ooh, but you want to push yourself? Ooh, because having it be a risk reward process is something that I'm very much a fan of. I think we all on this thing are on the
Mhm.
all of us together like to risk things to potentially get that reward.
Mhm.
And I still haven't technically finished that table. There's like 3 or 4 things that I need to put in because I was trying to think of specific things to make them all feel kind of unique to each caster type.
Mhm.
But I have the whole thing for my arcane school or my arcane
Nice.
magics, I guess, ready.
Mhm.
And it goes anywhere from you get some disadvantages on your next thing, or you get exhaustion, like 3 points of exhaustion, to all the way
Ooh.
to you fucking explode and go away and your soul is gone.
Mhm.
Because the level of magic kind of makes it so that it's even harder to control.
Mhm.
And I feel
It's
like
like 8, 7, or 7, 8, and 9. You could
yes,
potentially just get eradicated.
yes, exactly. That is
Yeah.
exactly it.
Mhm.
So it's one of those things that I like. I like that limitation because then I can exert more influence over that limitation.
Mhm.
Whereas with this, I don't know how I feel about not having spell slots.
Yeah.
I think it. I mean, cantrips are a thing for a reason
Yeah.
because those don't take spell slots, but they make it so that you're always able to do something.
Yeah.
Whereas the spells themselves are like more specialized things / more damaging things because you need to have that resource to expend so that it makes it so that you have to think about using those things.
Yeah, you gotta ration them.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, maybe he has come up with his own system
Yeah,
for stuff.
I'm not opposed to it. I'm open to it for sure. Are spell slots bad? No, I wouldn't say so. I don't
Yeah.
think that they're a problem. Neither do I think that they are they can't be changed. So here we go.
Yeah. They can't be, neither do you think they can't be improved.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. Let me
Think,
speak for you. Alejo. You're
thank you.
used to
Yes,
that, right?
it's hard. Yeah, it's hard to speak. So when others speak for me, it just takes all the
Yes.
pressure away.
Mhm.
um,
Don't need to stand up for yourself.
that's
We'll
right.
stand up for you.
Thank you. Yes.
Ugh.
uh,
Disgusting.
I think spell slots are fine. They're not bad. There are other things you can do though. Yeah. There's a
Yeah.
way to convert spell slots to MP. What you do is give a character 1 MP for each spell slot they had. This is what Big Eye Small Mouth D20 did. Yeah, that's fair. Having it be just points is fine as well. Each spell costs MP equal to the spell level. There you go. Yeah, that works.
Yeah, that's neat.
Yeah.
I like that.
It's another way to do it, for sure.
Yeah.
Today, we're going to completely remove spell slots from your 5e.
Oh, it's only 7 minutes. I can stay for this one.
I'm kidding. I like spellcasters. Before I get into it, I would like to preface that I personally believe there's no right or wrong way to play D&D. In case it wasn't clear, I'm just some random guy on the internet that likes to play test rules hacks to see what works, what's fun, and what's not. That's all. So if you're here for that too, welcome to my madness. So D&D 5e and just about all other versions of the game utilize what the internet calls Vancian magic, or some alteration of it for casting spells. I believe it's called Vancian magic because Dungeons & Dragons originally drew inspiration from the Dying Earth novels written by Jack Vance.
Okay, thank you for telling me a thing that I had no idea what it was, that came from the internet, that apparently I had no idea it was a thing, and then explaining what that was because I had no idea.
Yeah, I had never heard of that before.
I hadn't either, but thank you. That helps a lot. Okay, neat.
Hence the name. This type of magic functioned in a way where you needed to memorize your spells, and upon casting one, it was wiped from your memory until you memorized it again. Pretty damn annoying if you ask me. The other odd thing about this type of magic is it always behaved exactly how you expected it to. In 5e, when you cast a spell, let's use Dimension Door for example, you're literally bending the weave of magic to your will so you can teleport up to 500 feet away without fail. This type of magic grants the user a ton of power because of the consistency in which it behaves. More options, more power, and that's pretty on brand for 5e. So what's the problem? Vancian magic is too consistent and there is no risk involved. I want magic.
Oh, okay, all right. Now you're speaking my language here. Okay, all right.
Very good.
You're right. There's no risk. Let's go.
To actually be dangerous, behave inconsistently, and have significant impact when it's used. When I created a sorcerer in D&D 5e, I felt so freaking powerful. I could reliably push a button and drop 8d6 fire damage on a group of enemies with 0 consequences, save for managing spell slots and maybe accidentally singeing some of my friends if I...
And this is why I prefer the wild mage, because there is consequence every single time potentially. Right? You're rolling that die every time, and if you get a 1, oh boy, now you get to roll on your wild magic table. Whoa, and that could be.
Is it a D100 that you roll?
Yes. For the wild magic table, for sure.
I would take that down, honestly.
It's like not every number. It's like every 2 numbers or 3 numbers for like 1 to 3 is this, and then.
Oh no! What I'm saying is you have to roll a 1, so it's a 1 in 100 chance. That
no,
wild magic
not
happens.
for that. For that is a 1 in 20.
Oh, okay, good.
Yes,
good.
yes.
I see.
Sorry, I thought you were talking about the wild magic table itself. That's a D100.
Yeah, the table's a D100.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yes. Okay. But yeah, so it makes it so that you now have that risk involved, and it lets you do a lot of cool things with it, and consequences because of it, obviously. So yeah, I don't know. It's that's one way that we've been able to have it be in raw that we have risk, but for everything else, it is literally like, oh, well, I'm just gonna cast fireball and it's cool.
Yeah,
nice.
And I mean, honestly, if I had the ability to circumvent magic or spell slots in a D&D game, I would probably play casters more often, because it just kind of gets slightly boring when you just have your ammo for the day.
And
I kind of want to be able to be like, well, shit, I kind of really need this, so I'm willing to take this risk.
Yeah.
And try to do some more.
Yeah.
That's also why I really like the magic in Call of Cthulhu, because you have MP to cast your spells, but if you're run out of MP, you can still cast the spell, but then it drains your health.
Yes, exactly. That too. And plus
really
all
like
the spells themselves don't necessarily act exactly the way you want them to.
Yeah.
So there's also that added bit.
Yeah.
So but I think that the way that I like 4 or 5e for the way that spell slots work, at least, is it in my brain, that's the safe amount that you can use without destroying yourself in some way, right?
Exactly.
Which is why I made that table, so that it's like, but if you want to do more than that, I'm totally down with you doing more than that and racking your body with pain. Absolutely.
especially since what is it? Especially since you have those times where, you know, you'll spend a spell slot and it's an attack and it's a spell that can just fucking miss, or they just resist it, and it's like, well, there goes that. That never feels good.
Yeah, it's one of those things.
Yeah.
I forgot to use my metamagic abilities. And cantrips just add more to the power level of casters without risk or cost.
Yes.
Earlier versions of D&D did not have infinite weak spells, as I like to call them. You had very limited spells, and once used, they were gone until you found rest. What the old school and vintage D&D rules lack in the consistent arcane utility of cantrips, they made up for it in the power level and impact of those spells. So am I saying that 5e should revert back to some Grognardian version of magic? No. But it sure did help inspire the magic system I now use at my table. Now, before I walk you through it, I think it's helpful to have a close look at one of my favorite spells in 5e, Teleport. Teleport says, this spell instantly transports you and up to 8 willing creatures of your choice that you can see within range, or a single object that you can see within range, to a destination you select. The destination you choose must be known to you, and it must be on the same plane of existence as you. Your familiarity with the destination determines whether you arrive there successfully. The DM rolls D100 and consults the table below. The success of this spell strongly depends on your familiarity with the intended destination. Because of this, there is an inherent risk involved with casting the spell. I love this, and it can have such a major impact on your campaign or adventure. You can avoid or limit the risk by having seen your intended destination or having an object from there. But if you don't have those prerequisites, your player needs to ask themselves this question: is casting this spell worth the risk? Now that got me thinking about a different question. What if all spell casting had an element of failure to it? Now, before you start sounding off in the comments about how this is a thing in Dungeon Crawl Classics, yes, I am aware of how cool DCC is. I'm just sharing with you how I changed the rules to work for me.
Well, the other thing that I could point to is the previous editions had percentage chances of mishaps and stuff, like because of armor and such.
And also even expanding from spells, you had potion missability.
Yes, exactly.
Which was super cool.
Yeah. We just did 3.5, and the only reason why I didn't go for super heavy armor was because there was a chance that things could mishap, though I don't know if that works for infusions themselves, for an artificer. But you know, when you get, you know, enchantments and stuff on your armor and stuff to mitigate that risk, or use armor and stuff that doesn't have any penalties to it, you don't have to deal with it at all.
That was why you guys were going for like magic armors, or like mithril, or whatever the metal was that specifically made it so you didn't need to worry about that.
Exactly. A lot of things, like both skill wise and spell failure chance wise. Exactly. Which, I mean, it was one of those things where you had the risk, but then you also had the ability to mitigate that risk by spending resources, you know? So there's still that give and take there, which was nice.
That's me. And I hope you find it useful if you also like to experiment in your game. So with that said, here's what I did. I removed spell slots from my campaign and swapped it out with a roll to cast system. This provided me with a system of magic that was dangerous, inconsistent, and powerful. Some classes run the risk of an arcane mishap, and others risk losing their magical abilities. If you watch my old video about Shadowdark, you might recall me getting really excited about the idea of penance tables. I 1000% stole this idea from Kelsey.
A penance table.
Library. I have no shame. Also, if you haven't checked out Shadowdark yet, there's a link in the description. It's completely free. You're welcome. So here's how my roll to cast system works. Spells require a D20 test in order to be cast. They don't simply function when you push a button. If you fail the D20 test, the spell fails and you lose it until your next long rest. The DC to cast a spell is up to 10 plus the spell's level. When you cast a spell, roll a D20 plus your proficiency bonus plus any relevant ability score modifiers and beat the spell's DC. So basically, a spell of 3rd level requires a successful D20 test with a DC of 13.
Now, I assume they'll get to it, but my immediate thought is, what about things that other people have to do tests against? You know, because like you are doing it for yourself, sure, so that you can cast a spell onto things, but then you also have the ability for it to just fail because they can resist it, you know, and that's like a double dose of failure, I guess.
Yeah, I guess it would just the fact that you can do it as many times as you want.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Well, no, he said if you fail it, it's done until the next long rest.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so
Well, then I guess you just gotta hope that you don't fail.
well,
I guess that may also mean that if you don't have... Does that mean you can also have all your spells active?
Yeah,
Like, you can just cast all your spells?
I was wondering actually, because then it's like, oh, if they failed, if they passed it that one time, and as long as the spell didn't say, you know, oh, they're immune to it for the next 24 hours, you could just do it again, I guess.
Yeah, I think what I
so
would
that'd
do,
be
I would
okay.
change this to be the spell fails and maybe something happens, but you only lose the spell until your long rest on like a roll of 5 or lower, like a combined, a natural, like not even 5. I think I would say like a 3 or lower.
Yeah, exactly.
So basically, you only lose it on like a crit fail.
Exactly. That's how I think I would do it too.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, it just would feel.
Yeah, that's a little bit too easy to lose the spell if you are only able to cast your prepped spells.
Yeah. Where 1 HP per spell level be enough for a spell to drain from you if you cast without a spell slot? Casters tend to have fewer HP to work with. Would 1 HP...
Nowadays, it's definitely a lot easier.
Yeah, because, like, max for a wizard now is 7 at... Alright, I guess maximum would be if they had +4, so 10.
Yeah.
Yeah. So...
Yeah, so they're a bit safer.
Yeah.
And, of course, that's only going up as they level. And, you know, you're not usually... If you're playing your wizard correctly, you're not usually in a position where you're losing a ton of health.
No, exactly. So, yeah, probably.
Yeah. Just hoping, anyway.
I try to use consequences for magic in my world. Most people need to train hard to get good at and need to keep up in order to stay powerful. If you lose focus or drop the ball, you will lose it. Yeah, I mean, that's fair enough. If it's like a muscle, right? You got to keep practicing in order for it to keep being as effective, for sure. Let's see. If it needs to be more painful, I guess you could have the character roll one of their hit die from their caster class for each spell and have them take the result as damage.
Oof.
So that could be a problem.
That seems a little bit high.
Yeah.
But I can understand the thought process.
Yeah, absolutely. Psionic power checks used to be a thing too. Yes, they did. A person can live a very long time using magic, but they will most likely die of old age if they stop working on their craft. Yeah, exactly. That makes sense. In Dragon Age, mages with low skill and will can accidentally bring demons to their location, plus their spell components was lyrium, magic ore, with the addictive effects of radioactive heroin. That's right.
So, Warpstone.
Yeah, basically.
Like, literally Warpstone.
Yeah, and I think that's probably in the Dragon Age TTRPG as well. Probably has that.
Oh, I didn't know
there
was one.
Yeah, I think there is, as far as I remember. Only certain types of beings born with magic within can hold onto it without hard work, like dragons, giants, and some undead. Make sense?
You know, it's funny to think about this, but another magic system that would be kind of fun to use would be RuneScape's magic system, literally, because the RuneScape magic system is it's ammo, basically.
Yeah.
You have runes.
Yeah.
And runes take up space.
Yeah.
They're like stones.
Exactly.
So now it's not like a bow and arrow where, you know, you can carry like 100 arrows in a pair of quivers and they don't weigh all that much.
Right, exactly.
Because they're designed to not weigh much. These are rocks.
Yeah.
And they're like the size of like a sandwich bun.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So like you need to get like special ore to make that. Because otherwise it doesn't have the correct amount of like it doesn't conduct magic well, and it's fucking heavy.
Yes.
You could probably carve your own and it would be like less effective and time consuming and you wouldn't be able to carry as many. But hey, you got infinite spells as long as you have infinite ammo.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's actually hilariously another way you could go with it.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, absolutely.
And
make it a material cost specifically. Yeah.
Yeah, and you make it something that's like readily available to everybody. Like you can just buy runes in shops. It's not like you don't need to get a rod of amber or fulgurite or like bat wings or bat guano. Sorry.
Yeah.
You don't need to get all this really esoteric shit. So that could actually be really interesting.
Yeah, it's another way that it absolutely could be done for sure.
Yeah.
The rolling HD thing would be for if they're not using their spell slots, so kind of a last resort. Oh yeah, I see. Yeah. Coming in late. What did I miss? Hey, Draco Kraken. You missed a good video, and now we're more than halfway through this one talking about spell slots not being
And
used.
it's another good video.
Yeah,
so far.
it's been all right so far. Yeah. I'm not 100% about this so far, but that's just because it's a system that I wouldn't use myself.
Yeah.
But it's not like it's a bad thing. If it works, it works. Maybe their aura is compromised at that point, and they're taking mana poisoning. Could be. Yeah.
Yeah, that too.
That's why it was a big thing when Leroy took the IMO test. He had to get back into the swing of things after 10 years out of the game. There you go.
I also would like to clarify that I use a modified proficiency bonus system that starts at a +1 and caps at +5. This works out really well for me at my table. I've also been exploring what it would look like to remove proficiency bonus from spellcasting checks and then change the DC for casting those spells to be like 8 plus the spells level instead of 10. I think with a +5 in your main spellcasting ability, this would work all right. But again, I haven't tested it yet, so try it at your own risk and then come back here and let me know in the comments. With this system, there's no need to track spell slots. You can either cast a spell or you cannot cast a spell because it's lost. This does mean though that if you're having some pretty hot dice at your table, you can just keep casting spells until you fail, which is definitely one of the perks of this system. Also, rolling a natural 20 on a spellcasting check is a pretty big deal. We call them a critical cast at my table, and basically you can choose from one of 5 options. You can either double the dice, double the targets, double the range, double the duration, or recover a failed spell.
There you go.
Okay, so if you have ways to just get them back like that, then yeah, that's possibly
that's much better.
A better way to do it. Okay, all right. And that making it so that it's more, or it's less likely to happen, but it's one of those things of like, ooh, I could really, really do some damage here, or I could get back a spell that I might need. You know, like that's I'm a fan of that.
That's a great system.
Yeah, I'm a fan of that.
Critical cast can be game changing, but alas, you can't get and not give. Rolling a natural 1 not only means your spell fails to cast, but depending on your class and how you gained your magical capabilities, you either roll on the arcane mishap table or the pay tribute table.
Sure.
Details for those can be found in the link down below.
Oh, pay tribute.
Yeah, pay tribute.
I thought he said penance.
Before. I thought that's what he said too, but I guess misheard.
Piece, and it's kind of critical to this system really functioning well. I actually stole another idea, but this one is from a wonderful skirmish game called Frostgrave. In Frostgrave, you play a wizard who has hired a warband of mercenaries and treasure hunters to plunder ancient ruins and discover arcane secrets. Nice. This has been an absolute blast to play between D&D campaigns, and there's a really cool aspect of it that's quite critical to the general functionality of the game. If you fail to cast a spell in Frostgrave, you can pay the difference needed to cast it with your hit points. For some reason, I always just imagine this being something along the lines of like slicing your hand and then using your blood. So in my setting, naturally, we call it blood magic. And any caster can do this to force a spell to be cast, even on a natural 1. You still lose the spell until a long rest, but hey, sometimes you really need that cure wounds to go off. Also, Frostgrave is very conservative about giving casting bonuses, and you typically can only reduce the casting cost of 1 spell at a time. Most 5e characters start off with at the very least a +3 in their primary stat, so they're already well ahead of the spellcasters in Frostgrave. What this has done is made magic more interesting and narratively chaotic. It just doesn't always behave the way you want it to, but you can control it to some extent at the cost of your own life.
I think so far I guess my only concern that I have is the prevalence of the magic, in the sense of, like he said, if you're rolling hot, you're just seeing spell after spell after spell after spell, you know? Whereas it kind of takes away, at least in my mind, the strategic aspect of using your spell slots efficiently. Because I like that limitation to make it so that I have to think about maybe the future if I need that spell or not, right? And then having something afterwards of like, oh, I can sacrifice some of my life, or oh, I can get, you know, some other kind of effect happening if I want to cast a spell when I'm out of spell slots, you know? I like that personally more than you can cast however much you want, unless you fail and then lose out that spell. Though I still like the critical. One of the things being, you can recover that spell if you lost it, right? Again, the I don't know. I guess it literally is just not something I would prefer. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's fair. It makes it so that tactically the game feels less, or just in general, it feels less tactical. The game, it does. For me.
I think my big issue is just the fact that once you have spells working this way, you're gonna see wizards fucking everywhere, I think.
Yeah.
And like it's just gonna be this thing where everybody is just going out there and demolishing everything with magic.
Yeah.
And magic kind of loses something, you know?
I think so. Yeah, I think that's true as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it doesn't feel like there's as much of a cost here. You know?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you could fail and lose the spell for the day. But
you can also get it back, and it's...
It just feels like, again, like you said, I could just basically, instead of casting a Meteor Storm, I just cast Fly and then Fireball every couple of seconds.
Yeah, that's the thing.
You know?
Like, yeah. And now, obviously, you're going to get targeted the fuck down, but for sure. Still, like, the magic has lost something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what it is, because it sounds like it could be... It sounds like the kind of thing that would be fun for, like, a single session or, like, a one-shot.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like something that would stay fun for long.
At least for me,
it's like playing a game with cheats on, basically.
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah, it does kind of feel like that. You're in God mode for a second, you know? And like...
Except it's the whole game.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
and so... Like, again, it would be fun for a little bit. But after that, it would just kind of lose its charm, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. At least that, for me, that's, yeah, I agree with you entirely. I feel like that's how it would go. But
yeah, like, I think I would make a mage and then be like, yo, this is cool for like 2 sessions, and then I'd be like, okay, this is kind of boring. I'm going to change to a class that isn't just this.
Yeah.
And then I would regret it, because I imagine the DM would probably just keep up with the wizards and be like, well, shit.
Yeah,
you know?
It's one of those things where if you're a wizard, you're just kind of really, 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 really fucking good.
Yeah, because, you know, fighters are good as they are with what they can do. And if you don't have the limitation on wizards, then they're fucking insane.
Yeah. Hell, you kind of see magic everywhere now. That is true. So, like, every class in 5e has a subclass that can basically do magic.
Yeah.
So, like, each of them would still be able to do their thing, and it would keep up for all of them, for sure. But if you don't want to use magic, you're just kind of like a guy.
Yeah, you're just kind of useless.
You're really, like, you're good if you get in there, but if the opposing mage can cast Hold Person every fucking moment, you know? Like, it kind of loses something, and kind of makes it so that why would I want to be not a mage?
Yeah, so I think...
In this system specifically.
Yeah, so I think you are on the better path here of keeping spell slots, but introducing a way to cast after that at a significant risk.
Exactly.
I think that is the way to go. After having really thought about it.
Yeah, at least for me and you, I think that's what I would do. But like, if this works out for other people and you like this as well, like, or more, hey, I'm glad for you. But I really. It loses something for me. It really does.
Yeah.
It just...
Because the other thing that's... So, here's the thing. It also kind of unintentionally kind of enforces metagaming. Because, let's say you're playing in this system. Do you utilize the knowledge, like the out-of-game kind of sort of knowledge that you can cast all the spells you want and then just try to steamroll everything? Or do you still utilize the out-of-game knowledge that if you did that, it wouldn't be any fun for anybody?
Yeah.
So you're kind of stuck having to wrestle and grapple with out-of-game concepts because of this system. And so is the DM, because once you can do this, you're like, well, why wouldn't they do it? Why wouldn't everyone do it all the time?
Yeah,
It's
that's how
weird.
I feel too. That's how I feel
Yeah.
too. One of the complaints about 4E was that everyone's a wizard now, but I feel like that might have been one of the good things about it. Martial classes had their own powers. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That did put everything on the same sort of level. Absolutely.
Yeah,
And
that was the thing.
It was, I mean,
Everybody
I know,
had powers, but it was powers in the sense of like an MMO, where
Yeah.
you had, quote, powers and spells as a fighter, but they were basically fighting maneuvers.
Exactly.
That's what they were.
It wasn't like I'm doing a spell. It is I'm doing my maneuver. Yeah.
Yeah, you are using an ability.
Exactly. So, and it's the same. It's not the same anymore, obviously, but for that, it worked out and it made sense at least, and it kept everything on at least more of an equal playing field, right? And I understand people didn't like that, but it's one of those things where I would go, well, I mean, it feels like everybody can kind of succeed now together in a fight and be just as useful as each other, and in fact, maybe even find different ways to be more useful with each other. I don't know.
Yeah, because you've got powers that can like work alongside other people.
Seems that at least, but
yeah, now it's basically just, oh, do you have Sentinel? And it's just that.
If you're allowing that, yeah.
Yeah, it's Sentinel if you're allowing it, and spells that trigger on movement.
But yeah, it's one of those things. I don't know. So yeah, not for me. Not for me.
Yeah, not like the system sounds fun for a bit, and I don't dislike it openly.
No.
But it wouldn't be something that I would engage with in the long term.
No.
This, you know what this would be fantastic for, actually? This would be great for, like, a single adventure or two. Where you're like, oh man, the evil wizard has his base in some extra dimensional plane that's, like, suffused with magic. You need to go there and fight him.
Yeah.
And then, while you're there, you'll be able to just fire spells off. And be careful, he's gonna do the same.
Yeah.
That would be really cool, actually.
Yeah, I think for a one-shot, for sure. Absolutely. But, yeah.
What you lose in consistency, you gain in arcane utility. Also, you could technically just get really lucky and have infinite spells. For a time. And by requiring spells to have a d20 test, you unlock the capability for a critical cast as well as a critical fail to cast. And to me, that just makes the game that much more interesting. As a reminder, check the link down below to find the fine print on my roll to cast system, and then maybe go watch the rest of my other videos, because why not? See you next time.
There you go.
Hey, you didn't have a long-ass intro or a long-ass outro. That is nice.
Yeah, only a 7.5 minute video. Yeah, I mean, again, it's not like it's a bad system or anything. It's just not something that I would do.
It's just not for us.
No. I look back and I guess put a lot more effort into my magic system than I thought. Hey, well, there you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know. I'm perfectly willing to hear more about something like that to maybe change my mind. But at the moment, it's really hard for me to see any way for this to, like, in its current state, for me to go, oh yeah, let's do that. You know?
Yeah. Agreed.
So I don't know. It's fine. It's fine for what it is. Yeah, it's in the videos. We did it.
Yeah.
Wait.
We did it before Aiden could get in.
I know. I was gonna say, he said he's gonna get here in about a half hour, and we're done.
Yep. I was actually gonna say, let's fucking do it before he can get in here, but I thought that was mean. But we did.
It's just how it happened. No, it's fair.
Yep. It's fucking great.
I will say, because we did streaming before, and because I'm still a little tired because the day before I didn't go to bed until super late, and then I woke up at like 8 a.m. Because my brain goes, hey man, you're on work time now. You only get 6 hours of sleep maximum. And I go, sick. I am a little tired. That is all to say. So I do think that I will not be reading comments tonight, everybody. My apologies.
You can save up.
We'll save them up for next week. Though I will say a special thank you to the new commenter who commented. I promise you we'll read it. But who was it?
It is just not worked out today.
It is not worked out
apologize
this evening. I'm sorry if you are watching. Libunui. It's not spelled bunny. It's Bnuuy.
Benui.
Benui. Thank you for your comment. We'll read it next time. And thank you, of course, for the comments from Shin and Timothy as well. We'll get to you, of course. We will.
Mm-hmm.
You know we will.
Yes.
But anyway, I've wanted to make a system where all the PC classes are mages of different types, and the challenges are built around that. Basically, you're up against something you need magic to fight. There you go. Like you're a ghost.
So the Shadow Wizard Money Gang.
Yes. But yeah, these damn speedrunners these days, speedrunning podcasts. Old man shaking his fists. That's right.
Don't worry. We're making up for all the fucking time we spent like rambling in a lot of our old episodes.
That's right. Anyway, so a big thank you, of course, goes out to our table flippers over on Patreon. You guys, if you would like to, you can go over to the Patreon. The link is in the description, or you can go over to the Ko-fi to become a table flipper over there. And for as little as $1 a month, you can support the show financially if you would like to and are able to. Up to you, of course. Thank you goes out to Draco Kraken, Rick, AK Unit Rico, and Steely for being in tier 4, the highest tier that you can be, of course. Big thanks. And of course, a thank goes to Crimson Rose Armok for tier 2, aka Shin. Hey, thanks. And a thank you goes to our tier 1 contributors. Again, all the stuff is the same on here and on Ko-fi, so the links are in the description to go there and join in. At some point, you will get a session 0 that only you can see. That's right, you, if you subscribe to the Patreon for as little as $1 a month, once we start doing vampire stuff. That will be there, and I will do my very damnedest to get you early access to those episodes when I've got them all set and ready to go. So be a patron if you want to. Anyway, other ways to support, you can go over to TeePublic and get our logo on whatever you want there. Link is in the description, of course. Whatever you fucking want from there, it's gonna be there. And of course, going over to our website, link in the description, to go to this support us page. You can get to all the things that I've mentioned before, as well as the custom dice that you can buy. It's there. They're there for you to buy if you wish.
We still have 99.
I do. The next
it's very sad.
No, it's fine. I just have all of these dice and nothing to do with them because I have my own set.
No one's buying them because no one likes us.
And of course, you can go over to Humble Bundle using the link in our description. And anything you buy through there, whether it be the choice, the bundles, or the store, can support us as well as table. Oh, my cans. Oh, my V8 cans. All right. Us as well as Tabletop Alliance.
Oh, God, you poor soul. I'm so sorry.
Why?
Fuck V8.
No. These are the V8 energies.
Oh, okay.
They're really good. And I also don't mind V8 itself. It's fine.
Oh, God, I do.
Nah, I'm fine with it. Anyway, supports us as well as Tabletop Alliance. Link in the description to find out what the charity work they do utilizing tabletop shit. At the moment, the Fungeon Crawlers is still there. The Metroidvania Mania is still there. It looks like some Hellboy comics here from, BPRD. I don't know what that is, but it looks like Hellboy on the front, so I don't know. Anyway, and then the Monster Hunter World and Rise Saga. There you go, if you want to get those games. And some brutal beat 'em ups. That's neat. Hey, there you go. Go check out Humble Bundle. It's a good store. I recommend the shop. Use our description link and all of that. I think that's all of the things that are the supporting things. Oh, I would like to say my new stuff for my profile picture and stuff. I went on Fiverr, and I will shout this out, of course. Anna on Fiverr does OC drawings and stuff, and I fell in love with this art style the moment I saw this Coraline that's here and all of this stuff. So I went, hey, draw me a thing, please. And they did. It only took a few days. It was worth it. I have it now. So go check them out. If you want an OC drawn like this. I'll post the full thing, I guess, later, so you can see it. But anyway, that's it. Thank you so much, everybody. Hope you'll join us again for more things. Next week we'll do another one of these, more than likely, and other than that, I mean,
we'll start streaming another game at some other point, because we
right.
finished Yakuza. I'm not going to be doing any more Mech Warrior 5 because Alejo basically couldn't participate in the story.
Yeah.
So I'll find something.
All right, sounds good. Yeah. So yeah, thanks so much, everybody.
Yep. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Oh,
goodbye.
I was just saying goodbye.
Oh.
Yep.
Perfect.
Alejo, let me compliment your new profile picture.
Thank
by the
you.
way,
I'll post the actual like whole art in a second in our thing, so you can see it if you want.
Yeah.
All right.
Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye, everybody.
Alejo, I do want to show you one thing though before you do go.